Good to see you again, Mark. I'll start with any team news that you might have. How are you after Tuesday going into Saturday?
We're okay. Alex Patterson, we're going to have to wait on because he was a bit tight in his hamstrings. So he obviously we erred on the side of caution, took him off for half time. So hopefully that will allow him to make the weekend. Apart from that, just the ones that I think. I don't think we've added to the list from Tuesday, apart from Pato, really, I think.
I think you said afterwards that Andy might be touch and go for Saturday.
Yeah, possibly, but well, it's another one we just have to wait on, in fairness.
And Kev, does he come back in?
Yeah, Kev just had a reaction, allergic reaction to a bite, we think. But he's on antibiotics. He trained today, so his knee's still a little bit swollen, I have to say, but I would imagine next 48 hours he should be okay, 24 hours rather. So he's back in the frame, we think, as long as he keeps on progressing and the swelling goes.
And just on the longer term absentees, Harry Chapman and Ash Taylor, just what are their situations at the moment?
Well, Ash was out on the grass today, so he's progressing. Obviously, I don't think he's a million miles away. Chappie's on track. Had a little bit of a setback, in fairness, so I take that comment back. So he had a little bit of a setback, but not one that really impacts on the timeline. Maybe an extra week, so he's okay. Gilly should be out. Well, he was out today, just power training, and we're just trying to reintegrate him, but he should be okay for next week, so that's good news on that one.
And obviously, Jamie had the ankle issue. I know you said prior to Wrexham that he might not be with you. Obviously, he started. I mean, how is the ankle? How's he managing?
Well, it is what it is. I mean, Jamie will put his hand up, and as long as he can manage the pain, then he gets himself out there, and as long as we're confident that it's not going to damage him more than he already is damaged, so to speak, then we'll keep on putting him out there. You see that as the game goes on, 60, 70 minutes, and that's when he starts getting a little bit of pain, he starts to tire. So that's when obviously we have to look at his situation. Then that's why the last two games we've had to take him off. But he'll always put his hand up. He's quite prepared just to go out there, get it strapped up, and give what he's got.
Borough at home. In the third round. I mean, you wanted a home draw. You've got one. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good draw. We all feel that. Recent experience of them, obviously, so that gives us a little bit of an insight. But be a completely different team, I'm sure we'll face, and different circumstances and atmospheres. So we're looking forward to it. It's a good draw on the back of a good performance against Wrexham. So let's hope we get a big crowd. I'm sure our guys in marketing and commercial are thinking of ways and means to maximise the opportunity. So hopefully that will mean a huge crowd and it'll be a good occasion.
I know it's the old cliche, but a good cup run can have a really positive impact on a league campaign. I imagine morale's pretty good after Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always said that. I've always enjoyed cup runs because you're right. I've always felt they've had a positive effect. You get the confidence of winning games, and we've been able to do that in the Carabao. First time for a long time that we're in this stage of the competition. So we're happy with that situation. And I've always said throughout my career that cup runs will always have a positive impact. So fully expect that to happen. I think we're seeing signs of that.
We've spoken with Adam Wilson today for the first time, and I don't think we've had a chance to really ask you about him and being at the football club. What is it about Adam that attracted you to him?
We've been watching him for quite some time. He's a very intelligent footballer, really skillful, got a little bit of pace as well, and he's an out-and-out winger, which if you look through the squad, we haven't really got one who's specific in that role. So we're pleased that he's with us, and he's got a good pedigree in terms of his youth team and the club that he was at Newcastle. So he's compromised a little bit with injuries in that time. That's why he's had to find a different path. But he went to League of Wales and did exceptionally well, played in big high-profile European games, which he's been able to obviously benefit from in terms of experience. And yeah, then we saw an opportunity, and he's one for the future. We feel feel he's got a good opportunity here that we're presenting to him, and it's up to him to take the chance. We feel confident that he will do, because having seen and watched him in games that we've covered, he does things in games that are a little bit different, a little bit more unpredictable for opposition sides to deal with. So that's always a good option to have in your armoury when you're starting games, or you're making change from the bench. If you can bring somebody on who's going to create a little bit more problem or a different problem with technical ability, then that's a good thing to have.
He said to us that moving away from Newcastle was an opportunity for him to maybe just press the reset button on his career and try a different challenge. I mean, what can that do for a player in terms of how they deal with the challenges that come with playing professional football?
Well, I think it's a big moment when you're told that maybe your future doesn't lie. A lot of these young players have been at top clubs since they're 7, 8, 9 years of age, and all of a sudden you get to 16 or you get to 18 and you're told 10 years of your life and you haven't made the grade, so to speak. So a lot of players fall by the wayside and can't deal with that and go out of football, and that's a huge shame. And it's there's a huge amount of wastage in terms of young players that find themselves unable to really face trying to continue their career. But in fairness to Adam, he just got his head down, understood and believed in himself first and foremost, which you have to as a player. If you believe you've got the ability, then you should persevere, and that's what he's done. And he's coming back now, so he knows it's a good opportunity for him. I'm sure he'll take it.
Were you impressed that he put his hand up to take a penalty in the shootout?
Yeah, and I think that shows what he's about in terms of his character and his belief in his own abilities. So, yeah, I was pleased that he was prepared to do that and dispatched it really well. So, yeah, that's a good sign. That shows that he's got the character to deal with big moments in games.
Any more players coming in between now and the end of the window?
Well, you never say never. We're having conversations. I'll give you that much. Will they come off? I have no idea. It's that's how it is. So we've tracked players for a number of weeks and they've fallen by the wayside. And you look at other opportunities, and all of a sudden they become more live. So that's the ebb and flow of the window. Certainly towards the end, anyway. So we're still in the mix. We're still having conversations. So let's wait and see. Not long to go now, so I mean it's important. If we're going to do something, it probably needs to happen today or very early in the morning if we can.
And is that solely the loan market now?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Will you be relieved when the window's shut?
I think it's a distraction. I think really ideal. I think most managers would prefer the window to stop at the first game of the season, just because it drags on into the season. People think their future lies elsewhere, and they get a bit disheartened and think they need to leave when they don't. It's just at the beginning of the season. So if the window's shut on the first day of the season, I think it'd be less problematic for managers. But it is what it is, and it's the situation we deal with, and it can be to your advantage. Obviously, if you unfortunately have key injuries to key players and you've got to cover that, then you still got an opportunity early in the season, and hopefully you can address it and it doesn't affect you long term. But yeah, it is school of thought that it would be better if it's shut on the first day of the beginning of the new season, because when it drags in, it causes more problems.
On that strand, and I appreciate it's a repetitive question, but in terms of any possible outgoings, I mean,
the same situation, really. Same situation. There's conversations about that. So, like I said, situations that present themselves early in the window go away, and then sometimes they come back because the circumstances that stop deals going ahead resurface just because circumstances within the club that you were talking to have changed, like with injuries or the like, and priorities change in clubs. When you start the season, you don't start particularly well. Sometimes clubs think they need to make changes quickly, so opportunities present themselves. So we're open for business, let's put it that way. How much we'll do is I don't know. I can't give you a level on that, but yeah, let's see what happens.
And just finally, in terms of the players that you've actually got out on loan at the moment, more specifically Ryan East and Jake Young, how closely are you monitoring their situations and what they're doing at the current clubs that they're at?
Well, the idea was to give them game time, and that's what they're getting, so we're delighted with that. So we continue to hope that they do well. That's the intention, and both of them are at the moment.
Are you pleased with particularly the start that Jake's made and the goals that he scored?
Well, Jake's a confidence player, and he just needed to play, and I was honest with him at the beginning of the season. We were going to bring in players that would stymie him a little bit in terms of opportunities, so we give him the option that he could go out if the right club came in, and it looks like that's happened, so he's enjoying that and he's getting game time, so that was the idea. And
are you, just finally on that, always open-minded about, I think in the statement there was a recall option in January, I mean, are you always open-minded about possibly bringing him back in if needs be?
Well, we'll see. It's circumstances. We don't say yes, we don't say no.
Mansfield next then for you. If memory serves me right, it was a difficult old game last season away at their place. Additional time similar to what we're seeing this current season, but you had to battle hard for that 3 points.
Yeah, but I thought it was one of our better performances. Obviously we went down to 10 men, which didn't help the situation, but we got over the line. Cookie was great on the night, scored a fantastic goal, and we really deserved the win. They're going to be strong again this year, and you look at their squad, you see the quality that they have, and they've had continuity obviously with Nigel Clough as manager for a number of years now, so he's built a good squad there, and they have a real understanding of what he's after in terms of how they approach games. So it's not going to be easy, and it's another away game. We seem to be on the road all the time at the beginning of the season, so that's a challenge for us, but yeah, we're in good heart. As I said, confidence is the key when you begin in the season, and I said after the Crewe game we're back on track. We emphasised that again on Tuesday against Wrexham, so yeah, we're looking forward to it. And
as you say, you know, another away game, but as we've learned, another strong away following as well for you.
Yeah,
how big a part will they play?
Yeah, I had a great support on Tuesday, as we always do. They enjoyed the night, I'm sure, like we all did, so yeah, we just want to give them the same enjoyment on come Saturday, and that goes along with the result of the game. That usually defines whether or not we're happy or sad.
Best of luck, Mark. Thank you.
Okay.
When you look at the transfer window, is it more difficult at this level than it was when you were managing, say, Southampton?
Well, it can depend on how much finance you have. In fairness, and yeah, it does have a play a part, and it's all degrees of skill, I think. So yeah, you may well have more to work with, but more often than not, it's about convincing the players and their agents, predominantly at the top level, whether or not they're even going to get in a room and have a conversation with the players. Very much guarded and gatekept, if that's the phrase, by their agents, and on occasions it's more about what they're going to get out of the deal than what's best for the players. So I don't see as much of that going on, in fairness, because obviously the amounts that are involved aren't as big, but it still can be tricky just to convince players and make them realise that sometimes their situations need to change, and you have to be honest, and sometimes you've got to back your own ability. Some players are quite prepared just to sit back and be in a little bit of a comfort zone, when really for their career to progress they need to go out and play and have the courage to do that. So sometimes at this level it's difficult to to convince people, sometimes just to move locations. Location is a huge thing at this level, because obviously if the deal isn't including location and money to cover your expenses and travel or whatever, then that can be the thing that determines that the deal is broken. So yeah, it's different, but it has similarities obviously, but there's different priorities that sometimes impact on the deal you're trying to do.
Presumably at this stage of the window, and as you said, the season's already started, anyone that's coming in, you're looking for players that are going to fit in with the way you've set the team up to play, rather than maybe at the beginning you're looking for players that can help you in a developer system.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows. It's what your priorities are at any given time, and at the beginning of the season, when you've had a little bit of time to look what you feel you need or what you lack, then you go after them players. For the most part, you hope to get that done early. Sometimes you have to wait, and at times the final piece or one of the final pieces you've been waiting for, and sometimes you bring players in that it's speculative. You're never quite sure what you're going to get, certainly in the loan market, because that's a difficult one, because some are out on first loans, second loans, so it's dependent on the players finding the right club at the right stage of their career, sometimes when they're on first or second loans. So it's not easy, but sometimes you just have to be patient and wait to the last minutes, and sometimes you get good deals and deals that allow you to work with good level players that will impact on the team.
Cheers. At this stage of the window now, is it becoming a sort of degree of brinksmanship going on, perhaps with teams, as you say, targets you're looking at?
Yeah, it can be a little bit. Have had that in the past. Don't think we're involved in anything like that at the moment, but certainly clubs that you deal with are quite open, certainly at the top level, but on occasions someone else will come from left field and you weren't expecting that might make the player involved change his mind, and you might want to go elsewhere. You might be at a different level, and those are the things, and all the things I mentioned earlier, they come into the mix. So it's just sometimes what suits them better. I sometimes feel that they lose sight of actually what the key is which is actually playing and making appearances at a good level in a club that will enable them to progress and develop. Sometimes that's overlooked on the basis that they'd rather be closer to their parent club and they don't want to move and all this scenarios. So you just got to hope they make the right decisions for their careers, really.
You were saying last week about obviously sort of revisiting a couple after the weekend and then perhaps making a decision in terms of the timescale. Those obviously Adam Wilson's come in as the other one, perhaps you mentioned, has that now moved on, or is that still one that's in the mix?
We've had a couple that have fallen by the wayside through no fault of our own. We just had to wait and we had to be patient, and in the end it didn't happen. So
is that frustrating in the sense of
yeah, it can
giving
be
indications that it might be on and then suddenly
yeah. Well, you get green light up to a point, so I suppose it's not a green light, it's an amber light. So we've been on amber for a long time for a number of players, but there's not a lot you can do about it. You're dictated by the parent club, by the agent, by the player himself. So you can't lose sleep over it. You've just got to make sure you move on to another target that is the right level and the same level, or even better than the one you were thinking was going to get over the line.
Obviously, when the window does shut, I mean, you look back on it, nowhere near as frantic as
No.
much of an overhaul as a year ago. But I mean, are you pleased with what you've been able to do?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I think we've done well. We've, like you said, we were starting from a stronger base. I felt with the players we retained, and we brought good players in, and we're not finished yet. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring some more bodies in if we can. If it's not possible, then we go with what we've got and see where that takes us.
As you say, not having to do the reset, which has become a bit of a thing with this club year on year, particularly the summer. It's probably been quite refreshing for supporters to be able to look at it and sort of not see, somebody going out the door.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and that allows players to build relationships with the fans as well. I think there's a lot of affection for a lot of the players that are here and with the club for a number of years, so that's important. You need those relationships to be built, and it's very difficult to do it if there's 12-month turnover of players all the time.
Just on the injuries very quickly, Clark Odwar, is this situation?
Yeah, Clark trained today. He should be available as long as he doesn't get a reaction. We monitored his trend to a certain extent. He didn't play a full part, but it's just about easing him in today. Thursdays can be quite brisk because more often than not after a Tuesday game with the lads that weren't involved to a great extent get more of a session. So Thursday can be quite brisk, as I said. So we'll see how he is tomorrow, but the hope is that he should be okay for the weekend.
There was a player in form up to that.
Yeah, it was a shame. It's only he did the right thing. He just on Friday morning he just felt on longer passing he just felt his groin being a little bit stiff and a little bit compromised. So it's good that he did that. Hopefully because of that, that's why he's in with a shot at the weekend.
Oh. Just the one from me. Harry Lewis said a couple of weeks ago that he used an off the field mentor to help the sort of mental side of the game. That's something you encourage your players to look at, and have you yourself considered it throughout your career?
It's more prevalent in this day and age. In my day, rightly or wrongly, I think there was more self-management. You had to just get on with it. That's, I think, been shown not to be always the best way to approach it. So I'm not averse to it. I think it's whatever. Everybody's different. Every individual has a different need or a support structure behind them. And most of the time, it's your family that you fall back on, and sometimes you just need a different perspective and put things into the right order for you. When sometimes you're struggling just to understand where you are at that moment in time. So yeah, mentors can just give you a different insight and maybe think you about something that they've been through, and maybe that can help you in your current situation. So I'm not averse to it. It's not as if they're going to be saying contrary things that I'm going to be telling players. It's important there's that understanding, but as long as they're not telling Harry to keep making dashes upfield to try and head the ball into the net on the opposite end, I'm quite happy with him to have conversations with him.